So I haven't traveled since CES 2020. That's over 2 years. Okay, I haven't been on a plane. I haven't been anywhere for work. So being invited last week to WWDC 22 in Cupertino and being there for the first time was a huge treat. It also gave me the opportunity to figure out what I was gonna pack, because in the past, whenever I traveled for work, I'd carry way too much gear. This year, the goal was to travel as light as possible and only bring the essentials, and it worked out perfectly. Now, the bag that I've been using for the past 3 years is the Peak Design bag. I had the first generation of it, and this is the second version of the everyday travel backpack. It's been absolutely solid. It's great material. It's highly water resistant. There's tons of storage. For example, if you open up the top, you have a small little compartment over here to place stuff in. I just put a mouse pad in there. And then you have this big open spot to put whatever you want. But if you open up the sides of the bag, you have a lot more compartments to utilize. You have pockets over here, more pockets there. They're magnetically attached, so it feels good to click in. And then you have these little dividers that go throughout the body where you can kind of house camera gear. There's a 20-liter version and a 30-liter version of this backpack. This happens to be the bigger version of it. And then of course, on the other side, you have more pockets to utilize. And if you plan on carrying a laptop, if you open it up from the back, you can put a 16-inch laptop over here. And then there's another little pocket over here that can house a tablet. And then you have a quick access pocket that I use to like put a pen, maybe a little bit of Advil, and a couple of batteries. Now, since we're talking about laptops, the one I brought and continuously use is the MacBook Pro 16 M1 Pro. I hate to say it, but this is like the best travel work laptop I've ever used. Not only is it ridiculously quiet, the battery life on this thing was superb. I came back from the event, I started editing on this, I didn't even plug it in. By the end of the day, I still had like 40% battery life left. Like, this thing is an absolute monster. This is the M1 Pro, not the M1 Max, and to be quite honest, the M1 Pro is more than capable for the stuff that I'm doing, so don't overpay for the more expensive processor. If you're in the video world, the M1 Pro is more than enough. Now, I never used to travel with an iPad, but I didn't realize how much I'd enjoy traveling with the Mini. The iPad Pro or Air 10-inch or 12-inch is just too big to carry in a backpack full of gear, but this is light, it's the right size, and it acts as 3 main sources. It becomes my content consumption device to watch movies or TV shows. I also use it to read books. If I ever need to like script something, which is very rare, I can use this thing, but most importantly, it also acts as a second display without taking up much space in my bag. The great thing though is that it's not the most expensive iPad, and I find it to be a good accessory to my workflow. So I don't carry the MacBook Pro charger. There's no need to. It only charges one device at a time. I instead use this 100-watt Razer GAN charger. It was very expensive when it first came out. I'm not sure the price now, but it's smaller than the MacBook Pro charger, and there's a lot more ports to utilize. So I'll connect the MagSafe charger to one of these Type-C ports, then I have an extra Type-C port to play with, plus 2 USB-A ports. And it just makes traveling less messy since you don't have to carry as many chargers with you. Now, the camera I use is the Sony A74, and I use this instead of my Sony A7S III when I travel. I love the A7S III, it's a great video camera, but it sucks when it comes to photography. The A7 IV is the best of both worlds. You get really good photos and you get really good videos. It's a lighter body. I don't use this 24-70 Sony G Master lens when I travel. I actually bring the Tamron 17-28mm lens. It's my top-down lens that I use here in the studio. It's not metal, so it's lighter. It's significantly smaller. It's just easier to travel with. And the wider the focal range you have, the easier it is to stabilize when you're holding it with your hands. On top of this camera, I have a small rig camera cage to keep it protected, plus it allows me to connect more things to it. Now, for external storage, I use a Sandisk Extreme Drive. I showed this in one of my previous videos, but this is the 4TB version, but obviously there's cheaper, smaller versions of this if you don't need that much storage, but it's a solid product. It's very durable, there's a bit of water resistance, you have this little keyhole so you can attach it to items or keys, obviously. And the read and write speeds are very good. There's an NVMe SSD inside of here, so scrubbing through footage is nice and smooth. Now, on my previous trip, I did use the AirPods Max. They're fantastic headphones. They are a bit expensive, but they sound incredible. The only thing I did not like about them is they don't come with a headphone jack. You have to go out and buy a special cable for it, and that won't even work unless the headphones are charged. I just got the XM5s in, and hands down, these are going to be my go-to travel headphones going forward. Not only is the sound quality almost as good, if not pretty much close, because you can fine-tune the equalization settings. The active noise cancellation is top-notch. It has a good transparency mode, maybe slightly worse than the AirPods Max, but not by much. And there's a headphone jack. Like if these things die, I can connect a cable to the headphone jack and continue to use it on the plane. Plus, when I'm wearing these things for like 6 hours straight, you barely feel them. They're just so light and cushiony compared to anything else I've put on my mug. So a couple of you guys asked me about my sunglasses, and I don't buy expensive sunglasses because straight up, I am an ape. I will sit on them, I will forget them, I will break them. So I found these really awesome $23 sunglasses on Amazon. It has good UV protection. The kicker is it actually comes with 2 or 3 in the pack. So if you lose one, you don't have to feel bad about it. You still got 2 more to go through. And they've lasted. Like I've been using these things. They haven't broke. They look good. They look like Ray-Bans, at least a little bit, and if I forget them somewhere, I'm not gonna feel guilty. Now this is something every guy should have, and no, this is not something you shove in places you shouldn't. What it can do is keep you groomed. Maybe you got a long nose hair, or eyebrow hair, or maybe you have hair growing out of your ears and connecting to your beard. This will keep you groomed. I should also mention I do carry the AirPods 2, not the Pros, but the 2s, because I like the way they fit in my ear better than the Pros. I use these mostly for, let's say I'm editing in a room, or if I want to go for a run or work out the gym. They just kind of hang out my bag and are there when I need them. Now I'm a big fan of the Apple Watch. I literally wear this thing every day. It comes with me when I travel, and the beauty about it is that it's the cellular version. So when I go for a run or go to the gym, I don't bring my phone. I just use my watch, and it's 1,000 times more liberating than having to carry a phone in your pocket, especially when you're running, because it just jiggles everywhere and it doesn't feel good. The mouse is still the Logitech G305. I've been using this thing for years. It hasn't broken down yet. It's a solid device. You have one battery right here, a AA, and then of course you have your dongle, which stores nice and neatly inside of the mouse. The only downfall to this mouse is that it does not support Bluetooth if you ever need it. But as long as you have the dongle, you can pretty much connect it to any computer, and it feels and runs fantastically. I almost forgot to talk about the phone that I carry, and it's mostly the iPhone 13 Pro. And I like the size, it's pocketable, it's been solid. The battery life is never an issue, like no problem getting through the entire day, especially during WWDC when I was taking a lot of video. I also realized how much I rely on this thing when I shoot video. It takes supplemental video for my main camera, and the color science and the way it looks is incredible. There are some shots in my video you can't tell the difference between my professional camera or this guy. As long as the lighting is optimal, this thing does a fantastic job. Now I do carry a case. I really don't want to carry one. I want to be one of those guys that don't, but I'm too afraid, okay? I'm too afraid. And it's the Apple leather case. This is kind of how it looks after, what, 8 months? It's starting to rip over here, bend over here. It does look a lot more vintage because the leather has been worked in. Overall, the Apple, oh, here you go, it's cracking, never mind. Overall, the quality of these cases are mediocre. Like my wife has one of these cases and it's completely destroyed. Like it's peeling all over the place. I'll probably not buy another one of these, but this will give you an idea of how it looks after a solid 8 months. Now I stopped carrying a pocket wallet, if that makes any sense. And I used to hate this thing, like literally hate the Apple Wallet. I thought it was just a dumb idea. But ever since the MagSafe version came out, I gave it another shot, and I lose things a lot. So knowing when my wallet is disconnected from my phone is a huge advantage for me. Plus, it allows me to only carry 3 cards. So I'll carry my license and maybe 2 credit cards. And it just keeps it connected to my wallet all the time, so I don't have to have 2 separate objects in my pocket. The only thing I wish was the ability to put 1 extra card, but there's also a few other little features that I invented that I think you guys are gonna like. For example, if you are on a plane and you need a kickstand, you can take the wallet off and place it like this, and then you have a full media experience. Same holds true if you want it in portrait mode, okay? These are Apple Wallet life hacks, and you're welcome. Now, I obviously carry a lav mic with a bunch of camera batteries, but I'm not gonna bore you with all that. This is the main bread and butter that I take with me when I travel. This is my true everyday carry when I need to leave the studio and travel somewhere. And look, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe it gave you some ideas, but most importantly, if there's anything specific that you're interested in here, there'll be links in the description down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.